What if I told you that the greatest weapon against darkness isn't loud prayers or fierce arguments, but silence? There's a reason evil cannot stand stillness. It writhes under its weight, desperate to fill the air with noise, distraction, and deception. But when you refuse to engage, when you stand firm in quiet certainty, something terrifying happens. The truth rises to the surface. Are you ready to see how silence exposes the unseen? If you seek truth in a world drowning in noise, you are not alone. Subscribe now and join a community that dares to see beyond the surface. And as you listen, share your thoughts in the comments. Iron sharpens iron, and wisdom is not meant to be kept to oneself. There exists a peculiar strength in silence, one that unsettles the restless heart and provokes the troubled conscience. It is not merely the absence of speech, but the presence of something deeper, an unshakable stillness that forces all things hidden into the light. Many mistake silence for passivity, for retreat, as if a lack of words is a surrender of authority. But in reality, silence wields an authority of its own, an authority that does not shout for attention but demands it nonetheless. The very nature of darkness is to thrive in noise. Evil prefers clamor, confusion, and constant distraction, for in such an environment it can remain comfortably concealed. The wicked find solace in their ability to dominate a conversation, to twist words, to weave a web of deception so intricate that the simple-minded do not perceive its snare. But silence is a blade that cuts through illusion. When one refuses to engage in the chaos, when one simply listens and does not react, the spirit behind a person begins to stir, often revealing itself in its own frustration. It is a curious thing to watch how some recoil at silence as though they have been struck. There is an unease, a discomfort, a sudden shift in their manner. Their words become sharper, their expressions more anxious. They do not fear mere quiet, they fear what it brings. They fear exposure. A man at peace does not panic when there is nothing to be said. But a man who carries hidden darkness cannot abide stillness, for in stillness his own thoughts turn against him. There is then a great wisdom in restraint, in knowing when to speak, and when to hold one's tongue. The impulse to defend oneself, to argue, to prove a point, this is often nothing more than bait laid out by unseen hands. The moment one steps into the fray, the battle is lost. But to stand firm, to remain unmoved, to let the silence stretch unbroken, this is to turn the fight against one's adversary. Their own words, their own anger, their own desperation become the very means of their undoing. It is in silence that the unseen becomes seen. The true nature of a man, the spirit that governs him, the weight of his own conscience, these things cannot remain hidden forever. One need only be still long enough to watch them rise to the surface. There is a peculiar unease in the heart of those who belong to darkness, a deep and abiding restlessness that will not allow them to sit still. They fear silence, as one fears a great chasm, for in silence they are left alone with themselves. And what could be more terrifying to a soul estranged from truth than the sound of its own conscience whispering in the quiet? The man who walks in darkness cannot afford stillness, for stillness demands reflection, and reflection is a most unwelcome visitor to those who have built their lives upon lies. Watch how they move, how they fill every waking moment with noise, how they surround themselves with endless distraction. Their minds must always be engaged in something, anything, so long as it keeps them from that dreadful encounter with the truth. They fear solitude because in solitude, the shadows they have long avoided begin to take shape. They keep company not because they love it, but because they cannot bear to be alone. And yet, no matter how loudly they laugh, no matter how much they strive, an unspoken dread lingers beneath it all. It is no accident that the world grows noisier by the day. Evil requires a constant hum of activity to survive, a ceaseless motion that keeps men from seeing where they are going. The enemy does not always destroy by force, sometimes he merely distracts. He fills the ears with meaningless chatter, the eyes with endless spectacle, the hands with work that leads nowhere. He turns life into a frantic pursuit of nothing in particular, so that when the day is done, a man collapses in exhaustion but has no idea what he has accomplished. It is a brilliant deception, for the one who never stops to think never stops to repent. Even the guilty know this instinctively. Confront a man with his wrongdoing, and what will he do? He will argue, he will shout, he will throw accusations of his own. Anything but silence. Silence would mean reckoning. Silence would mean standing face to face with himself. And so he will rage against it, fill the air with words that have no meaning, hoping that in the noise the truth will be drowned. But the truth is not so easily silenced. It waits, patient and unyielding, for the moment when all distractions fail, and a man is left alone with nothing but the weight of his own soul. There is nothing more unsettling to the wicked than a man who will not play their game, a man who refuses to be provoked, who does not return insult for insult, who stands firm in quiet certainty. This man is a mirror, and what he reflects is unbearable to those who dwell in darkness, for they live by reaction, by manipulation, by drawing others into their chaos. To encounter someone unmoved by their devices is to be confronted with a terrifying reality. Their power is an illusion, their schemes are empty, and their words have no hold over truth. Observe how quickly anger rises in such moments. The wicked man is not merely irritated by truth, he is threatened by it. He will disguise his discomfort in 1,000 ways, mockery, slander, even false pity, but beneath it all, there is fear. He has built his world upon shifting sand, and he knows, whether he admits it or not, that one breath of truth is enough to send it crumbling. And so he must drown it out. He must shout over it, dismiss it, twist it, attack the one who speaks it, anything but face it directly. Some, when confronted with truth, will lash out in fury. They will accuse, they will condemn, they will turn the conversation in every direction but the one that leads to the light. Others will shrink back, eyes downcast, unable to meet the steady gaze of the one who does not waver. But all of them, in one way or another, will be disturbed. For truth is never neutral. It divides, it exposes, it pierces through pretense like a blade. It does not need to be shouted. It does not beg for acceptance. It simply stands, and in its presence, men must either bow or flee. The greatest weapon of the wicked is not strength but deception, and deception cannot endure when it is met with quiet, unshaken truth. When lies are met with argument, they twist and multiply. But when lies are met with unwavering stillness, they unravel. This is why the wicked rage at the presence of a righteous man. His existence alone is a judgment upon them. He has not condemned them with words, yet they feel condemned. He has not accused them, yet they stand accused. He has merely stood in truth, and that is enough to shake the very foundation of their world. There is a profound weight in the silence of Christ, a silence that spoke more powerfully than any defense ever could. When he stood before his accusers, surrounded by men who sought not justice but justification for their own wickedness, he did not argue. He did not plead. He did not even correct their lies. He simply stood. And in that silence the truth stood with him. The men who condemned him relied on noise, on spectacle, on the force of public opinion to carry out their work. They hurled accusations, twisted his words, demanded answers, but he gave them none. Not because he had no answer, but because no answer was needed. Their corruption was already plain, not just to him, but to themselves. The truth was there, inescapable, pressing in on them from every side, and they hated it. They hated the quiet certainty in his eyes, the absence of fear, the refusal to play by their rules. His silence was not weakness, it was judgment. Pilate, too, felt it. He questioned Jesus, but the answers he received were not what he expected. There was no desperate attempt at self-preservation, no rebuttal to the charges against him, and Pilate, though he held the power of life and death in his hands, found himself deeply unsettled. Here was a man unlike any other, one who did not tremble before him, who did not grovel for mercy, who did not resist even in the face of death. Pilate had seen many men stand trial, but none had faced their fate with such stillness, and so it was Pilate, not Jesus, who grew uneasy. It was Pilate who sought to release him. It was Pilate who was overcome by fear. The silence of Christ exposed everything. It laid bare the corruption of the religious leaders, who were not seeking righteousness but revenge. It revealed the cowardice of Pilate, who knew the truth but lacked the courage to act on it. It showed the blindness of the crowd, who cried out for his blood without knowing why. And it proved, once and for all, that truth does not need to fight for its place. It simply stands, Lies must be defended, argued, justified. But truth remains unshaken, even as men rage against it. And so, in his silence, Christ did not lose. He conquered. If this is opening your eyes, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so more can find it, and share in the comments what silence has revealed in your own life. The truth, once seen, demands to be spoken. There is a kind of sight that does not come through the eyes, but through the soul, a knowing that is sharpened not by speaking, but by listening. The man who rushes to fill every silence with words blinds himself to what is truly happening around him. But the one who embraces stillness begins to see. He sees not only what is said, but what is left unsaid. He perceives not only actions, but the spirit behind them. The world moves at a feverish pace, demanding reaction, urging men to speak before they think, to judge before they understand. But truth is often found in what is not immediately obvious. It hides beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered by those who are patient enough to look beyond the noise. Silence then becomes a kind of refining fire. It strips away the distractions, the falsehoods, the carefully crafted illusions that people wrap around themselves. And in that stillness, the spiritual reality of a person is laid bare. Watch how men behave when their words are met with quiet observation rather than eager response. Some will grow uncomfortable, fidgeting under the weight of unspoken truth. Others will become defensive, as if silence itself is an accusation, and still others will become enraged, for they cannot manipulate what does not react. But a rare few will remain at peace, unshaken, because there is nothing in them that fears exposure. This is the difference between those who walk in light and those who stumble in darkness. Their response to stillness reveals the condition of their soul. Even Christ, who saw all things clearly, practiced this discipline. He withdrew to lonely places, not because he needed solitude, but because he understood that only in stillness can the deeper realities be discerned. He did not answer every question posed to him, nor did he defend himself against every charge. Instead, he often allowed silence to do its work, letting those around him reveal their own hearts. In the same way, the man who seeks to understand the true nature of those around him must learn to be still. He must resist the urge to explain, to justify, to react. He must watch, listen, and wait. For in the absence of noise, truth speaks, and when it does, it is unmistakable. Most men believe that strength is proven in speech, that one must always have an answer, a defense, a clever reply to every accusation. But the wise man knows otherwise. He knows that true strength is often found in restraint. That silence in the right moment is far more powerful than the most eloquent argument. There is something deeply unsettling about a man who will not be provoked, who does not scramble to justify himself, who meets conflict with stillness rather than fury. It is in such moments that the hidden things in others begin to surface. Try it, and you will see. The next time you are falsely accused, misunderstood, or drawn into some senseless quarrel, say nothing. Resist the urge to explain. Do not meet anger with anger or insult with insult. Instead, be silent and watch. You will quickly learn who is ruled by truth and who is ruled by something else. The honest man, the man of good heart, will not be troubled by your silence. He will wait, he will listen, and in time he will come to see what is true. But the dishonest man, the one whose motives are tainted, will not endure it. He will become uneasy, then frustrated, then angry. For silence, when met with dishonesty, is like a mirror that forces a man to see himself as he truly is. This is why silence exposes. Words can be twisted, arguments can be manipulated, but stillness is unmoving. It gives no foothold for deception. It does not feed the fire of conflict, but lets it burn out on its own. It allows the impatient, the deceitful, and the self seeking to condemn themselves by their own actions. And it reveals in the end who truly stands with you. For there are those who only walk beside you when you agree with them, when you react as they expect, when you give them the words they wish to hear. But when you withhold those things, when you choose instead to be silent and observe, their true loyalties are revealed. Some will grow distant, others will turn hostile, and a few, perhaps very few, will remain, unchanged, unmoved. their love and loyalty proven not by what you say, but by who they know you to be. These are the ones worth keeping. The rest were never truly with you at all. The world clamours for noise, for endless argument, for the illusion of strength found in dominance and reaction. But true power lies elsewhere. It is found in the man who does not rush to defend himself, who does not scramble to prove his worth, who stands firm in silence while the storm rages around him. For silence is not emptiness, it is a weapon, a test, a revealer of hearts. It exposes the restless, unsettles the guilty, and strengthens the soul of the one who wields it wisely. Let the world rage, let the deceivers scheme, let the foolish demand a response. Stand firm, say nothing, and watch as truth, needing no defense, does what words never could. The world thrives on noise, but wisdom listens before it speaks. If this message has stirred something in you, subscribe and walk with us in the pursuit of truth. And before you go, leave a comment below. How has silence revealed the unseen in your own journey?